Okay, guys, it is Monday, our team Zoom night, and we are excited because we get to share a little bit about raising your standards. And so, who are we? We are Stephanie and Joel Dunn. We are #1 earners, Black Diamond, double ambassadors. So, lots of titles. So, some of you may not know what that means. It means we've been around, we know what we're doing, we know where we're going, and 2021 is going to be the biggest year yet. And we are excited because we personally, every year, we put down where we're going to head. What are we going to do? And I'm going to share a little bit of a story before we get started with this video that we're going to watch. Some of you may have seen this before. It's okay. It's a great refresher. You're going to get a completely new perspective, but it's a Tony Robbins video. It's like 15 minutes. We're going to go into that. And then we're going to do some other things on raising the standards and how we can help you. But when we first got started, you guys, we really didn't have income at all. We were going through bankruptcy, standing in food lines, and life was a struggle. And I was just reading an article a little bit ago that if you saw this perfect life, that we didn't have struggle, and we still have struggles to this day, then I don't know what happened there. Just popped on. You'd seem like it was impossible. And so I like that we went through hard times to be able to explain things to you guys and really help you use that. And right now I feel like I don't want to give too much away, but I want you to know that
she's trying to, because she's so excited about this.
I am. I'm so excited because my standards are set so high. I've really thought about this and I take it personally. And when I said about, if you read anything at all about, I would want some tough love. I want to hear from a millionaire mentor that's not messing around. And that's what you're going to get from Stephanie and Joel tonight. Usually I'm lovey and bubbly and cheering you on and you can do it. And I still am that person, but I want to talk to you in a completely different way, that you're already a millionaire in there. And what would a mentor like that do for me? How can they break down some walls and help me break through and set my standards high? So I'm excited. I'm super excited for this Zoom. We don't do a lot of these, so I'm really excited about that. So we're going to get in and watch the video. Joel's going to be able to share the video, take notes, and then the crazy will begin with us.
Get ready, guys. Here we go.
5 quick items to make sure that you get the maximum result. Real quick, because we got to finish. The difference in people, the difference in performance, the difference in the final result, the outcome, is it usually dependent upon skill? Is that what makes one person better than another? Yes or no? How many have seen someone with unbelievable innate skill get wiped out by an athlete, a person, a business individual who clearly had less skill? How many have seen this happen? Say aye. It's our ability to maximize. We said on day one, leaders are what transform organizations. You want to grow this company, you want to transform this company, leaders do it. A leader doesn't mean everybody else follows you. It just means that you have a higher what? A higher standard than anybody else does. What'll make you the leader is when you have a higher expectation, not of other people, anybody can do that, of whom? Of yourself. So if you want to know what does it take to take things to the highest level, what's going to take to change my business permanently, not temporary, you can go home and you can install some of these strategies, skills, tactics, tools, insights, and see a significant change. But if that change is going to be a lasting company of value that keeps growing, then the things you've learned here have to become the standard for your organization, not something you did for a period of time. Whenever you look at somebody and say, why are they more successful than anybody else? It's always because of step one, they've raised their standard. If you go back home and you want to change your life in any way, personally, professionally, or your company, as boring as it sounds, as stupid as it ain't it sounds, you might say, I spent all this time, this energy, this money, and you're going to tell me to raise my standards? Yes. Because even though that's not sexy, it is the only thing that creates lasting change. You can go on a diet and you can lose weight, but what will that person eventually do? They'll go where? Back, unless they raise their Standard. Now that sounds so trite and stupid and positive thinky or old school. But the truth is, it's the truth. So maybe I can language it in a way that's more compelling to you or more simple. What does it mean when we say raise our standards? It means you turn your shoulds into musts. The difference in people is that they turn their shoulds into musts. The things that you used to say I should do, you do your shoulds when it's convenient, when it's comfortable, when it goes your way. But when something is a must, not to other people, but a must to you, do you find the way to get it done, yes or no? So the difference in people is what's their must, or another word for that is what's their standard. Every person in this room right now, our bodies are a reflection of our physical standards. They are not a reflection of our desires. Most people have a desire for more energy or a better body or a stronger body or a more fit body. We don't get our goals, we get our musts. The ones that are the musts become how you are. And guess what? It shows up in your rituals. When it's a must, you have different rituals, different things you do consistently when you must have your body a certain way than you should or you'd like to or you ought to. How many follow what I'm talking about here? Say I. So whether we want it or not, the only way to change your body long term is change what the must is for you. Now, I'm not telling you what it should be. Who the hell am I? I'm just saying maybe it's time for you to take a look. Because many times you set the standard a long time ago, or you lost the standard completely, because most of us base our standards by our environment. Who you spend time with is who you tend to become. So if everybody around you is gaining a little weight, or everybody around you is, constantly tired, after a while, even if you had high energy, you don't want to make fun of them or tease them or make them feel bad. So gradually, subconsciously, you lower your own standard just a little bit. And that little bit is that old metaphor, overused but true. You take a frog and put him in boiling water, what's it going to do? Jump right out. But if you put him in and turn the water up real slowly, over time, it'll boil to death. That's most people's lives, isn't it? And it's usually because you haven't remembered the power of who you spend time with. Who you spend time with is who you become. So one of the things that's great about this 5 days is you found people from all over the world who are all absolutely committed to go day and night and day, literally, sometimes with food, sometimes without, but whose standard was, I am here to maximize who I am, what I'm about, what I'm going to take home, what I'm going to create. That raises your game. Remember, play against somebody you're better than, your skills are going to go down. Play against somebody better than you, just to stay on the court, the game has to go up. Want to change your life? Raise your standard. Want to raise your standard the most? Get around where it's better. Surround yourself with people playing the game much higher than you are. So just to be around them, your game has to rise. That's part of what we try to do. When we come into a company, we create that by raising the standard amongst them. Or you got to do it by yourself, but you got to do it. How many agree with me on this? Say I. And it starts with whom? It starts with us. So raise the standard. I remember when I met Michael Jordan for the first time, and it was while he was still with the Bulls. And I asked him, I got a chance to do some coaching a bunch of people, and I think I introduced him because of this. And I said, Michael, I said, how is it you do this? I mean, you're the best that's ever lived at this stage. Got to ask the same question of Wayne Gretzky. And interesting, Wayne Gretzky, I'd read someplace and he gave me the same answer. I asked him the same thing. You're not the fastest. You're not the strongest. You're not, you don't, how is it you're the great one when you're not the fastest, the strongest, the quickest? And he said, well, Tony, I appreciate the compliment, but he said, I think one of my advantages is most people skate to where the puck is, and I skate to where the puck is going. The power of what? Anticipation. He knows the pattern. With Jordan, his standard was, I asked him, he said, Tony, everybody, I said, what makes you the best? Is it natural ability? Is it talent? Is it skill? Is it God-given? Is it strategy? What is it? He said, Tony, I think I can say this to you without it sounding like hyperbole. He said, I have got unbelievable natural skills. But he said, study my history and you'll know why I am who I am. I did not make the high school varsity team when I was a sophomore in school. High school, I got cut. He said, I had a lot of natural talent, but the greatest gift of my life was a coach who said, you're not on the team. And I looked at him, I laughed at him. I said, you got to put me on the team. I'm the most talented guy out there. He said, no, you're not. He said, you have a lot of natural talent, but you have no heart, no absolute commitment, no real drive. You're not on my team. And it just crushed him. And finally he negotiated and he said, look, you want to be on my team next year? Simple. Meet me every morning before school for a one-on-one practice, and I'll take this raw talent and I'll teach you discipline. I'll show you how to raise your standard. And if you show up the whole year, I'll guarantee you a spot next year. And if you don't, probably the same outcome's going to happen when you try out next year. He couldn't believe it. And guess what? Most people don't know. Michael Jordan got up every morning and drilled and drilled and drilled and didn't get to be on the team. And next year he was on the team, and he was not only good, he was great. Guess when his career exploded? When he lost again, championship to Detroit. And he was on the bus. He said he was crying in the back of the bus, physically crying, pissed off at all the other players that they hadn't done their job. And something inside of him snapped and realized, crying, whining, blaming everybody else is not the problem. I need to raise my, because he realized that's what did it for him originally. And you know what he did that year? He lifted weights like never in his entire life. He decided he was going to dominate every person, every floor, every place, every spot in the country. He's going to be stronger than anybody. He practiced like he'd never practiced in his life. And oh, by the way, he won how many NBA championships? How many in a row? 3. Retired, came back and won how many in a row? 3. Never anybody in history would even dream of such a thing, especially after retirement. That's the power of raising your standard. But guess who he competes with? Michael told me one time, he goes, Tony, if I competed with other people, I wouldn't be who I am. He said, my competition is with the best I can be. They're trying to compete with me. That's why I beat them. Because they're competing with where I am. But I'm competing with where I can be. Think about that mindset. Think how your life would be different if you raised the standard of what you expected from yourself, not your people, yourself, to that level, how things could shift. It's all about changing your shoulds to musts. It's all about going back and saying, this is how it's going to be. It's like when Gary Vee was here and guys were saying, man, I'm working so hard, man. I work from 9 to 6. He goes, yeah, what are you doing from 8 to 2? 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. That's when you master your craft. I always say to people, it's what you practice in private that you'll be rewarded for in public. People say, oh my God, you have this great ability, this great skill. They didn't see all the hours. This class, this course, I know tons of the stuff like the back of my hand. But if you talk to my team who's exhausted, they'll tell you we're up to 4 a.m. almost every night. To be able to figure out how to provide for you a life cycle and get it to be real so you can think about Nike and give you accurate information about when did they really get to young adult, when they fall down. We had to make phone calls, read financials, do all kinds of stuff. We did all that stuff. We were doing all these things, and we've accomplished so much, and I figured out how to make it even better. That level of commitment is what makes you great at what you do and gives you that little edge that makes you stand out from everybody else. And that standing out is what makes somebody absolutely own an industry or brand themselves like nobody else in the world. That process is what this is about. Raise your standard. When you got to go home, you got to say, where are we going to raise the standard? What am I going to take that's been my should and make it absolute must? Where are we going to do that as a team, and how are we going to pull it off? Now, who here has ever, by the way, your income right now is a result of your standards as well. It's not the industry and it's not the economy. Who here is making more money today than you made 10 years ago? Let me see your hands. How many feel like it's not enough today? Let me see your hands. And how could that be? Real estate's so cheap now. Computers are cheaper than they were then. You get so much more for your money. Because once you achieve a level, who knows what happens? You immediately, you close the gap, you create a new gap. That's because that's what makes us grow. Who's willing to go back to where you were 10 years ago? Not many. Some of you would be, because it's gotten worse in the last 10 years for you. But the majority, there's no way. See, once you're fortunate enough, if you don't like cleaning house, once you're fortunate enough to have somebody clean your toilets, you will not be doing that again, unless you like that. You'll find somebody who loves cleaning toilets and you'll pay them handsomely. Because now to go back and do that, once you've had the privilege of not having to do that, it's a different game. It's a gross metaphor, but who gets what I'm talking about here? Say I. Once you have a must, you find a way to get to it. Every one of you in this room is earning what you must earn, not a dime more. Don't get me wrong, you might have big goals, big desires, but it's not a must for you. Because even when the economy crunches, if it's a must, you will find the way. How many agree with me on this? Say I. See, when it was a must for me to get at one level, I did. I remember it was a must for me to finally make $1 million a year. I had my son Jarek going to be born. I swore I would never have a child unless I was financially set, and I wasn't financially set, and he was on his way. I went from $38,000 a year to making $1 million a year in the next 12 months. And that was all BS. In my head, I thought all my growing up, all the pain was because my parents fought because there was no money. They would have fought anyway. Because I believed that, though. I raised the standard, made it happen. And then I made $1 million a year for 7 straight years. Even though I built 5 more companies, even though I was helping more people, I made the same amount of money. Guess why? That was my must. At some level above that, seemed greedy. Now, it wasn't like I had this incredible lifestyle. I owned a magical home. I had this place called the Del Mar Castle overlooking the ocean in Del Mar, California. But I was on the road, staying at the Ramada Inn in Milwaukee with shag carpeting and smelly, dead animals on the wall on my birthday. And my maid, she's back at home in the castle going, "Oh, Mr. Robbins, happy birthday. Oh, I can't help thanking you. It's so wonderful. Oh, Mr. Robbins, it's so beautiful here. I was sitting out in the jacuzzi overlooking the ocean. Oh, yes. Oh, I've lost 22 pounds. I can't tell you. It's been so amazing. I get on your Stairmaster and I watch Oprah. I love your gym, Mr. Robbins." And I'm thinking, she's got a multi-million-dollar lifestyle. How many can relate to this in some way, right? So I went from 38,000 to $1 million, so I changed my income. It became an absolute what? It was nothing about money. It was about growing. Because I knew to make more, I'd have to help more people. I'd have to expand. And I came with this goal. I wanted to feed all the people in San Diego that were homeless. First, my goal was 1/3 of the homeless people. And then my goal was everybody. I said, if I can go from 38,000 to $1 million, I should be able to go from $1 million to $3 million in 3 years. And I did it in 12 months. I found the why. I found the reasons. I got a different RPM. But it became a must for me, not a should. You're meeting your must, my friends. Maybe it's time to change your must. Some people's must is to survive. Some people's must is to be okay. Some people's must is to have freedom. Some people's must is to have more than they could possibly spend. Some people's must is take care of everybody around them. Whatever your must is, you're going to get it. When you leave here, get clear on your must. Or raise your what? Step 2, real fast. I'm going to do it real fast. Who here's ever raised the standard and you get out there and you go, "I'm going to go do this, and I'm committed. I'm going to change this. I'm going to make that happen. I'm going to lose 50 pounds. I'm going to take my company to the next level." And you're all excited. And then all of a sudden this voice in your head goes, "Who are you kidding?" Who's ever had one of these? Raise your hand. Say, "I." So once you raise your standard, you got to get certainty behind it. You can sustain it. And that means you got to change your limiting beliefs. You got to change your limiting beliefs. And who has limiting beliefs, by the way? Who? Everyone does. So you got to become aware of it and you got to destroy it. Now, how to do that? Honestly, if you've been to the UPW, you know how. If you haven't, come join me in San Jose or someplace else. And who has limiting beliefs, by the way? Who? Everyone does. So you got to become aware of it and you got to destroy it. Now, how to do that? Honestly, if you've been to the UPW, you know how. If you haven't, come join me in San Jose or someplace else and come through the experience. When you change your limiting belief, everything changes. Because as you believe, so is it done unto you. If you believe you're right, you believe you're wrong, you're right. Because whatever you're certain about, you find a way to support it. I always teach people to exercise. Try this. And if you know it, do it fresh. Look in this room real fast for everything that's brown in this room. I'm going to give you a test. What's brown? Quick, look for brown, look for brown, look for brown. Brown hair, brown clothing, brown. Close your eyes. Tell me everything you saw in this room that's red. Raise your hand if you see more brown in your head than red and say, "I." Open your eyes. Now look for red. 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 Look everywhere for red. Look for red. Raise your hand if you found more red this time. Raise your hand. Say, "I." Why? Because you're looking for it. Because whatever you focus on, you'll find. In fact, you'll find stuff that's not there. How many saw beige, called it brown just to feel successful? How many saw burgundy, called it red just to feel successful? See, once you believe something is a certain way, out of your need for certainty, you'll change things to meet that belief. Let me show you in 2 seconds flat why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. I call it the success cycle. Real fast. Draw yourself 4 squares, put them up on the screen here. You'll see, as I do this, take a quick look. You'll notice you've got the word potential up in the left-hand square. Up in the right-hand square is the word action. Bottom right is the word results. Bottom left is the word belief, or another word for that would be a sense of certainty. Potential, action, belief, results. And notice there's arrows in a clockwise fashion where they just keep feeding each other over and over and over again. So again, it's potential, action, results, belief, or another word for that would be certainty. Now, did you ever notice how rich people tend to get richer and poor people to get poorer? And I don't just mean rich in financial terms. I mean people that are rich emotionally. Do you ever notice how happy people tend to get happier? And depressed people tend to get more depressed? How many found this to be true? Say, "I." It's because of the power of momentum and what I'm about to show you. So let me show you something here. What's the potential of any human being? You tell me, quick. Unlimited. Do most people's results reflect that true potential? Yes or no? No way. Why? Because most people aren't taking enough what? But is it possible to take a lot of action and still get lousy results? What if you got a salesman that works for you and they walk out and they knock on 100 doors and they say, you wouldn't want to buy anything from me, would you? Or they don't say that verbally, but they say it non-verbally. Is that going to affect their results? Yes or no? So it's not enough even to take enough action, because when we believe it's not going to work or we're uncertain, does that affect how much of our potential we tap? Yes or no? See, if you don't think it's going to work, you're not going to put out a bunch of your energy when you think it's going to fail. And by the way, when you're not sure, you tap little potential. Do you take little or a lot of action? When you're not sure, when you think it's not going to work, do you take massive action or little action? Now, when you take little potential with little action, what kind of results do you get? Little lousy results. And when you get lousy results, what does that do to your belief? You go, see, I told you it wasn't going to work. Told you it was a waste of time. And then, by the way, when you have less belief, how much more potential do you take? More or less? If it's possible, you tap less potential, more or less action. Less. And what happens to your results? They get even what? And now they got worse results. What does that do to your belief? And by the way, now you see the current economy. Isn't it true? Everybody out there is going, oh my God, the results are so bad, it's going to get worse in the future, so I better pull in my horns, there's less potential, so I'm not going to push as hard. I'm not going to take much action. Oh my God, I'm getting lousy results with little potential of action. Oh my God, it's going to get worse. That's what creates a recession, depression, whatever you want to call it. How do you change that? By the way, can it work the opposite direction? What would happen if something inside you gave you so much certainty inside of you that you felt absolutely certain that recession was your friend, that the worst economy for you was the greatest time on earth, that all you had to do was manage your state and apply your fundamentals and immerse, stay coached so you don't get off the target, keep taking action, and you could own your business and you go to other people's businesses? How many believe that, by the way? Now say I. When you have that kind of certainty, are you going to use more of your potential when you go home or less? Which one, my friends? Are you going to take less or more action? When you are certain and you use lots of your potential with massive action, what kind of results do you get? Massive action gets massive results. What kind of belief do you get now when you get better results? You go home, you use your core story. You go home and you take one of these techniques, you get a different response. You go home and you stimulate a new source of profit or income. You go home and you add a service. You go home and do anything. And it works. Your brain goes, yeah, it works. Now, by the way, at Home X, we went in there. Thank God we went in there, because they took our stuff and it looked like it wasn't working. Do you remember that? Yes. Because some people there didn't want the change to happen. So we had to dig in and find out it was working. We knew you can't take action. You can't sow that seed and reap nothing. So we uncovered what was really going on. You're going to have to watch for the same thing, depending upon the size of your organization. But bottom line, when you get great results, belief gets stronger. Now you're totally certain. Are you going to use more or less potential, my friends? Which one? More. You're going to take even more what? Going to even greater what? Even more certainty. And now what happens to your business? Boom, 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 boom. And now you have a different momentum. And so your economy does not have to reflect the economy. You get to create your economy. You get to decide whether you freeze to death or ski or snowboard. It's winter, but you can have the best time of your life. It could be a sunny, beautiful, magical time. But what you got to do is you got to manage this process. In order to do it, you got to change your limiting beliefs. And this week has been about doing that by giving you so many tools and examples that you'll be immersed. But I promise you, when you go home, all this is going to be tested. A, because all the stuff that's waiting for you after being gone for 5 days. B, all the people there you work with, their limiting beliefs, whether you have one employee or two because you're an army of 1 or 2 people, or whether you got 10,000. And so you have to be able to implement. This, by the way, is, I'm not here to sell you, bring us in if we can help. Do you think we could help? Yes or no? Yes or no? Bring us in and we'll do it. Or get your team together and find a way to make sure this momentum goes in the right direction. Make sense? This is the must. If you have this high standard, but you don't really believe because the momentum's in the wrong direction, having the tools will be worthless. That's where certainty That's where everything else we teach, that's what I do in my events, that's where you guys have been there before, that's what you got to bring to the table. What are the 5 keys for integrating this? Number 1, you got to go home and raise your what? Come on, guys, raise your what? Which means turn your shoulds into. Step number 2, you got to go out and change your limiting what? Find anything that's limits you and destroy it. What's the fastest way to destroy it? You can do it very quickly by producing the results in your mind over and over again. Or, why do you think I get people to walk on fire? Because they think it's impossible. When they walk in this fire, mentally you might say, oh, I can do it. But when they get in front of that fire and it's 2,000 degrees burning hot coals, it gets their full attention. And suddenly they have a state change. And when you get yourself in a state where you can storm through fire, it's not about fire walking. The state you're in to get yourself to walk across fire is the metaphor for anything that used to stop you, the fire of your life. And by the way, when you cross fire and you're on the other side doing something you once thought was difficult or impossible, it's that easy, your brain goes, what else can I do that I thought was impossible? It's unbelievable. It's not intellectual, it's emotional. Plus, after fire walking, cold calling is not a problem. You get the idea, ladies and gentlemen? All right? So what we're really talking about here is changing your beliefs. Now, here's the 3rd key. If you're going to get maximum results, you got to model what works. We brought you for 5 days and nights here, models of what works. Go back and get them. Now, here's where the challenge is. How many got tons to do in your normal list of things to do when you go home? How many got a lot to do? Say aye. How many have a lot of outcomes you got to go after? Say aye. How many have the same amount of time you had before? Say aye. So in your business, if you need something to get done, you get it done because it's an absolute what? Or you hire someone to get it done. Hire us, hire someone else, get somebody inside. But are these things you're going home with musts or shoulds? Which one? Do whatever it takes. You say, I don't have the money. You don't have the money not to. Forget us. Hire somebody as an individual who knows what they're doing and put them in there. Leverage yourself. The only way you're going to get the game bigger is by taking a little bit of what, my friends? Risk, but that means get yourself some resources. Be resourceful enough to get the resources. What's great about this? What is this opening? What is this creating? What's possible? What have I not seen? This is going to make me see. What have I learned from this? What can I learn from this? What am I willing to do to still have it the way I want it? That's the 4th step. You intensify, and you innovate. And then there's the final 5th step. And that 5th step's really simple, my friends. And that is step up and give. Step up and give more than anyone else could possibly expect. The ultimate transformation happens when you stop trying to get and you start to give. Whenever you're at your best, you're giving. I remember so vividly driving in my car, my Volkswagen Bug, and I was struggling, and I was 19 years old. I was driving on a freeway in San Gabriel Valley, the 210 freeway, I'll never forget. And it's midnight, and I'm frustrated. I felt like I tried everything, and I had these big hits, like the one you just saw, and nothing was going my way. And I was frustrated, and I kept thinking, how come I'm not getting what I want? And all of a sudden, it just hit me on the freeway. I pulled over the side. It was almost midnight, no cars really around. Grabbed my journal, and I wrote, and I still have the journal to this day from when I was 19 years old, full page, and I wrote, the secret to living is giving. And I realized why I wasn't doing well. Because I all focused about what I wasn't getting. I was not focused on what I was not giving. And the whole game changed.
Okay, maybe that was a little bit longer than 15 minutes, but I knew you guys would love that video and just pump you up. I know some of you have heard that recently on some Zooms I've been doing, but I don't think you can get enough. Everyone in the chat, are you changing your shoulds
to must?
To must. Are you doing that? Drop a 1 if that's something you're ready to do. If that is not you, then you probably should just check yourself out of the Zoom now, because I'm about ready to throw down and bring the heat for you guys, because I do expect really high standards. Sometimes I'm too nice, and it's not going to be like that. Of course, I give, I do all of those things, you guys. but when it comes to business and where you want to go, sometimes you have to make, which seems like hard decisions, but they'll start getting easier and easier. And I want to set you guys up for the biggest success that you've ever had before. And this video really kind of opens your mind. So you're going to get a little bit more of these videos thrown in each month to keep us on track for 2021. You know, for me, there's things that are musts. Like this morning, I have a power hour in the morning. I had a sore throat, you guys. I'm fighting things. We're all going to have things that can come up and make us excuses to not get on there. I got on that Zoom and I sucked it up. Now, there's times where, of course, like I've been in the hospital and things like that. But if you're just struggling, those musts will just make, you'll find that extra oomph in you to make that happen. One of the things that I want you to do, so some of you I see are new on this, you'll be able to go watch the replay. So if you're like, I didn't hear it, don't worry, you're going to want to, I think, replay this a lot this month, especially coming into January. I've listened to this a few different times and I get a little bit different perspective each time. And I'm strengthening my muscles, guys. So if you want success, me and Joel know that we are far from where we want to be because there's so much. And I love what he said about, usually it's Michael Jordan, because I'm a huge basketball fan for those of you that don't know, but he said something, it was a hockey player. I don't really know the name.
Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know that name, but I do. He said he doesn't look where that puck is at. He knows where it's going. He's ahead of it. Right. So where are you guys headed? Where is that vision going to go? And that the things that you think, oh, I'll just put it off, or I can't, I'm getting out all the excuses that come in, it turns into a must. I remember early on, I must go diamond. I must do this. And that's always been part of who I am.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to this. It's not whether I can and others can't. It's I will when others won't. Mm-hmm. That is the mindset that you have to get. The reason why the top 3% of the people in the world control all the money is because they're willing to go out and do the things that the 97% won't do. That's why if success was easy, 97% would be successful and the 3% would be apathetic. But that's not the case. It's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah. You know, the circle, around the circle that Joel's like close, but I wrote it down wrong. And I've listened to this a bazillion times, but the potential action results belief circle. You guys, when you start getting in that circle, it is crazy. Like, I'm going to give you an example of some things that have happened. I didn't look at things like it wasn't going my way. It was one step closer to where I was going. And I learned from it. And I was like, well, that wording didn't work. This is where I'm going to go. I'm going to get a loyal customer today. I must get a loyal customer today. And I do the craziest things. It just happens when you decide to do those things. But I walk in favor. And I know this. Like, I expect great things to happen.
If you've never heard of the fog, you're in the fog.
Yeah.
You know it now.
Yes.
Fog is favor of God. It goes before you and you walk into it.
And so sometimes people are thinking, okay, I'm going to go play bingo. And I happen to be #1 earner on this cruise. Who wins bingo? I walked in like, I'm going to win this. I'm going to do that. And I win at bingo and I get $1,000. And people are like, why does she always win that? I just feel like things are going to come my way. Now, it's not always been easy. You heard a piece of my story. I went through bankruptcy. I was standing in food lines. That doesn't mean that my vision wasn't where I wanted to go. I knew I wanted $1 million. And I love how Tony talked about, where you're pointing at something.
Because I'm going to say it.
Okay. 36,000 or whatever it was to $1 million in 12 months. You can do that with this business. You have your hands on something that can happen. I think I haven't shared this in a while. We'll put the income disclosure because I am talking about money. But looking back, before we made a Black Diamond run, you guys, a Black Diamond makes $100,000 per month for 6 consecutive months. Joel and I did that with no bonuses. Okay. So we went from, before we just started at 9 months out, before we hit our first $100,000 month, we were at $26,000. That's a big gap. But I knew I must go Black Diamond. And I did the things, and I still do the things that I know that that will set myself apart. It's that 1 degree of separation. While you all are thinking, okay, she does a Monday night Zoom. You know the amount of things that I do behind the scenes? No. And I don't need to sit here and say, oh, I do this or I do that. I know what I do because I know where I'm going, what I expect, and my standards are set high. Example, I want you guys to do this. Newbies, this is tough. Welcome. I love you. I'm excited for you. People that are like, whoa, we haven't heard her talk like this. You know, there's some things that are going to set you up for success. And changing that standard is, you know, do you run an auto ship? Successful people do the things that they talk about. So do you use the product? That is a must in this business. In any business, you need to use the product to be able to share about it, to talk about it. This isn't just because I'm in this to do that, right? That's one of the things that you can start setting yourself up for. Something that we have, you guys, if you're not one to be like, oh, I'm not a huge reader or something, you must become that way to be successful. Success Magazine is one that I would.
It's right in the name of the magazine, for crying out loud.
Tony Robbins must be like everywhere I'm going, because like he said, if I say look for red, and then all of a sudden you see all the reds and you're looking for burgundies and everything, Tony Robbins is in everything that I pick up lately. There's videos, there's books, success, he's in there. I guess I'm just ready to set my standards really high this year, and I know where I'm going. But I'm going to share something that he talked about in this magazine too, because it's so good for you guys. But I want to let Joel talk about, you were looking at something like this.
Yeah, guys, the belief, potential, action, results circle is so important. It's kind of like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, what came first, the belief or the results? Mm-hmm. Because you think about it. Well, if you don't have results, how can you believe in yourself? But if you don't believe in yourself, well, how will you get the results? Well, we're here to share belief with you, to get your ball rolling. Mm-hmm. So we give you the belief so that you can see the potential. And then with the potential, you take action. Even though it's not your own yet, you're borrowing ours to get the ball rolling. And then you get some sort of result, whether it's getting a sample, getting your first customer, getting a distributor. That proves that you can do this. And that goes back to giving you more belief. And like you said, when you believe and you lift that limitation off, John Maxwell always calls it lifting the lid off of your capacity, mm-hmm. because everybody is set at a certain level until they break through to that next level, and that level becomes their floor. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get you through that limiting belief that you've put on yourself that this can't be done. It can be done. There's plenty of people on this screen that have done this and that are doing this. That means that you can do it too. Why? Because we're not special. We're just like you. We've just done it more. So what we want you to do is we want you to have that belief, get excited, get the ball rolling so that it compounds. Because once it starts compounding, that's when it starts taking off. That's when you're ready for a breakthrough. But the opposite is the exact same. If that limiting belief comes in that kills your thought process of the potential, you're going to do less action. And when you do less action, you get less results, which also starts the downward spiral, because the next time you're going to have less belief. And then a week later, you're going to do less action. So when those things starts happening, that's why you have to have what we like to call an accountability buddy. Find a friend in this business that both of you commit to each other that you're never going to quit on the same day. Mm-hmm. That way the other one's there to pick the other one up. And then you can challenge and run each other all the way to Black Diamond.
You know, what he said too is, I want to say this. I am different than you. I have a huge heart. I'm very committed. And those are the types of people I want on, the ones that I know are going to show up. Mark talks about who's in the rabbit hole behind you, who's going to be there when somebody's going to take the bullets or whatever, like something bad's going to happen. I'm still going to be there fighting. Like I am going to be there. I'm not just going to roll over and quit because somebody said, I can't believe you're still doing that. That's a sinking ship. No, it's not. I know where I'm going. I get customers every day. I help people every single day. And that's fine if they want to believe that. That's not what I believe. I know exactly where I'm headed. So I want to make sure you guys are going to get hit with bullets, but it does not matter as long as you know where you're going and you're surrounding. I love that he said, be around the people that are going to encourage you, that are going to lift you up. If they don't want to go on this journey with you, that's okay. But don't let them stop you from where you know that you're going. And that's always something for me, that there's going to be people, you guys, all the time that come into this business for you for a season. And that's okay. Love them. Be grateful. Just know there's something more and bigger coming. And with that, he said in this article, it's talking about 2020, but how we can transform it into 2021. I've got a special guest on that's going to really share too after this about what she did, her beliefs, her limiting beliefs, but changing that mindset, changing that standard, and what it did for her business. So you guys are going to want to hear this because it's not just coming from me and Joel. It happens. It can happen to you too. So if you're feeling like I'm ready for, those standards to be changed, 2021 is going to look different. You're going to go farther than where you've been. I think you really need to talk about that. Is maybe you've been a triple diamond and you fell back. You got to believe you're going past that and up to presidential ambassador. So speaking those things out and setting those standards differently, you can learn from all that and then grow from that. I'm going to read this because it's not long. It's just a couple of paragraphs. I think it's important. So be careful how to frame the situation to yourself is kind of the title. When answering questions about starting over in 2021, Robbins pushed back against that mindset. He encouraged solopreneurs to instead see their turnaround, his words, in a different way. So I want you guys to think about this is he talks about turnarounds, but changing that word. Call it a comeback. Robbins says you will feel like the leading character in a powerful story. Imagine, he says, going to a movie or reading a book that opens with the main character having his or her life figured out. They're successful at home and work, loved and understood by their family and friends, and spiritually mature. They never forget a birthday or an anniversary or to take the garbage out. The middle of the story, nothing has changed. They are still perfect. Life is an unbroken string of success. At the end, the same. There has been no growth, no, how do you spell that word? This one. Epiphany. I was like, I'm going to say that wrong. Help me, Joel. No change. No challenge has been overcome. No fear has been stared down. Nothing has been learned either way. Who's going to go to that movie? Who's going to read that book? Robbins asked. Nobody. We as human beings love comebacks. The greatest stories of all times are the comeback stories. If you see yourself starting over or starting, you focus on where you used to be. If you see yourself as engineering a comeback that will take you higher heights than you reached before, that forces you to set your sights at the end. When you're going, how your dream will make your life better than ever. Everybody is taken to their knees by something, he says. The real question of life is not where you are now, it's where are you going to go? It's, are you willing to create a vision larger than yourself so you can create something even better than before? I read that and absolutely 1,000,000%. I'm excited for so much more. And I haven't felt like this in a long time. And it's because I feel like I've just taken bullets. And if I could share with everything of people that have left, it's been a brutal year where you guys sometimes think, oh, it's all perfect, but it's not. And I'm a fighter. I know where I'm going. I'm setting my standards higher and I'm taking the right ones with me, the ones that are going to be here. And that's okay. And I'm going to be here for you guys. The only way that sometimes you fail at this is if you quit, because I'm not going to quit on you. There is no way. I am always going to find a way to break through. And that's the type of leadership you want. That's the type of friends that you want Who are those people that you see like, man, they just show up? That's going to be you, because you're changing your standard tonight. Right, Joel?
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much what it comes down to. You will quit on you long before we quit on you, because that's what God has designed us to do. God has designed us to do more, to help more, to be around more, to help you become more. And if you can't see that, man, guys, look in yourself and go, I can't wait to do that for other people. It's such a great place to be. I mean, that was one of the things that Tony said. He said, go until you get to a point where giving back becomes your highest priority, because that's where your purpose meets your paycheck. Guys, when you get to a certain level, you know, we talk about this all the time, being in food lines, filing for bankruptcy. Money was like air. When you don't have it, it's all you think about. But then all of a sudden you get some and you can breathe. And then the next step in your progression to purpose is finding out how to do that for other people. Because if you just stop at the, I've got something that I can breathe with, you don't find purpose. And that's why you see so many people that are so successful in life and have the things, don't have any sense of joy or happiness, is because of the fact that they haven't developed the purpose. And the purpose is what keeps you going long beyond everything else.
Yeah, it's like, why do you have all this energy all the time, Steph? Why do you do that? Because this is my purpose. I get to share with you and pull something out of you that you may not quite see, that we see so much greatness in each of you. And you guys can do that. You can look at somebody and see all of the wonderful things and not ourselves. And so here's the time to really go, I am worth it. This is my time. This is the time of the year when you get to change those, write these out. What are things right now that you must change? And some of these must maybe, I'm always going to be on the Monday night calls. I'm always going to be on Pam's call, or, you know, maybe you're working that time, but you're going to watch the recording. I must become a product of the product, be passionate about what you have your hands on. I must talk to, you know, maybe you're currently going, I want to talk to 10 people. I must talk to 20. Are you going to up that to really get to where you want to be? Are you going to do those hard, I don't want to say they're hard things. They're choices. They're simple things, but it's just easier to not do the things. And that's where you're going to fight with your mind. Like, you know what? I'd really like to watch a movie tonight. Maybe cancel cable so you can't watch it. Well, keep your internet though. That's important because you do have a business to run. But what are those things that you can say, those are what people are doing, is sacrificing. And he talks about, you know, working hours. Here's your time. We know that, you know, we're working, say you have 5 hours. Are you going to put in an extra 3 hours of sacrifice to get to that next level?
Yeah, that was one of the most important things that I've heard plenty of people say. I mean, we're talking like Jim Rohn, Millionaire Mindset, John Maxwell. You know, your 9 to 5 is where you make your living. Everything after that is where you build wealth. So think about that. What you're doing to do is get your paycheck, and your paycheck is what you create a living off of. But it's, one, not your purpose, and two, it's not going to make you wealthy. So those are the two things that he says to focus on outside of your 9 to 5.
Yeah. You guys, you want both. You want health. So make sure that you prioritize yourself, taking self-care. Recognize when you feel tired or burned out. It's okay to be like, I'm going to check out today. And you let people know, hey, I get to do this business, but today I choose to go offline and I will check all my messages tomorrow. So are you taking a Sabbath? Some people need a Sabbath once a week. Sometimes people need it once a month. So what is your calling on that? There's no like right answer for that. You know, some people just follow suit with the Saturdays through Sunday, but you can do what you want. I know when I need me time. Are you eating right? What are some things, that simple changes that you can really change and set those standards up for huge success in your whole life? I mean, I think that's something that,
because we want you to be wholly awesome, not just, oh, my business is amazing, but the rest of my life's a wreck. Come on, guys. We want you to live an amazing life that causes other people to look at you and go, wow, I want that. I want what he has. I want what she has. I want what they have. How do I get that? And then the next question is, hey guys, how do you have that? And you're like, oh, funny, you should ask. It's this crazy business called It Works.
Mm-hmm. So here's some things, guys. If you were to ask, I'm going to ask my husband, and then I'm going to bring on Liz. Sorry. Are you guys okay with me doing a little bit more? It's a little bit longer, but I want to make sure that this is okay for you guys. So far, I'm thinking yes. So I'm not too mean though, right? I'm just telling it like it is. I get people all the time that say, you're so lucky. I wish I could have what you have. And you know that I get this and you get this too. So I'm going to have you answer and then I'll answer on how I do. Or do you want me to answer first? My own question.
Sure. Answer your own question.
So when people say that to me, or they're going to start saying it to you, is you're going to have to sacrifice. I have no network marketing degree. I didn't come into this business with a huge network of people. I knew I wanted more. And it didn't judge my past with this company. I could sign up and I have the same amount of hours in the day as you do. I have the same website as you do, the same technology. I can go use Google. I mean, it is my best friend. So if you're like, dang, where does she get those videos? Google raising your standards. If you go do that tonight, you're going to see article after article after article on raising your standards. A lot of it will come with Tony Robbins, but there's other ones that they throw in that I loved. And it's because I know where I'm going that I did that. So utilize those things. I didn't make excuses. That is something that I don't do. I do not handle that well. When you guys come to me and you're like, well, you know, I couldn't get on because so-and-so, I couldn't do this because so-and-so. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear, you know what, I wasn't on, but I watched the replay and that replay was amazing. Because you guys know that I post replays. If there's an answer and you can't find it, you know that there's team pages that you can go in the search tab and look for that answer. Utilize those skills. We all have those. I don't have a college degree, you guys. I was told I was stupid in school and I would never be successful in anything. You know, I was beaten down emotionally by that. I was hit over the head and told that in 6th grade, you guys. That was something that they labeled me as. And in my mind, I knew, I don't know, this little girl in there was like, I'm going to be a millionaire someday. I don't know how, but I'm going to do it. And this company gives you that ability to go change your life. And I can't wait to see you guys grow and change that standard, become who you want to be. TikTok is a free for all, you guys. There is no excuses for saying, well, I'm too old to get on there. Or, you know what? I don't use Instagram because I feel like that's just not my thing or that's not working. There's no excuses. If it's a must in your life, you will find the ways to make that happen. That's kind of my answer.
That's a pretty good answer.
I knew you was probably going to be, that's a red, and we'll go over colors later.
Mine.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's not as good. No, mine would simply be, well, the funny thing about that is you create your own luck. Because what I found is the harder I work, the luckier I get. It's a mathematical formula. You know, the more seeds I plant, the larger harvest I have. It's a formula. You can't mess it up. The only way you can mess it up is by messing up the numbers. So you're messing it up when you go, I'm planting less and I'm expecting a greater harvest. I mean, that's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So that's the thing, guys. It's hard work gets results. Now, the more you do it, the less harder it becomes. Anything that you do to start out with is going to be hard. So that's why it's not really luck. It's actual providence. God put something in your life for a reason. It wasn't just happenstance that it took place. He put you in this company for a reason. You may not know it yet. You may not know it for 5 years down the road. Just like a farmer has to work hard at certain things. And then he has to pray for the rest of it. He has to pray for the rain. He has to pray for the sun. He has to pray that the bugs won't eat it, because he can't control those things. Now, that's one of the things that it's so hard to grasp is, guys, the luck equation really is the God equation. It's basically God coming in and stepping in where you can't accomplish. So your goal and your dream has to be big enough that God has to step in and move it in order for it to happen. That's when great things start to take place.
Yep. A couple of things I'm going to leave you guys with before I pull on. Actually, I'm going to bring on Lizzie, and then I'll close it with this to give you guys a little bit of homework. But I'm going to bring on Liz. Can you unmute? Okay, she unmuted herself. You guys, she's a double diamond. She says she keeps going. She's going to go triple, but her mindset, where her standards are, she's going to go presidential. I know this. But she did a complete shift. And I want you to share, Liz, what that was like for you.
So first of all, thank you, Steph and Joel, because you guys spoke life into me. I think we were in Asheville, and Joel probably thought I was crazy. I ended up getting like my headphones tangled around me. I was that nerdy person, I hated pictures. And you guys kept saying, just stay close to the fire. You're going to know what we see in you if you keep doing it. And I thought you guys were crazy. But if they're saying it to you, you're absolutely in the right place at the right time, because that was definitely me. What ended up happening through my whole chaoticness is I went to conference in 2020, this year. It seems like forever ago, but it's definitely just at the beginning of the year. And I sat on the front row. I got to be close to the fire. But how many of us can be so close to the fire, we still aren't on fire? Like, it could almost burn you, but your attitude has to change. And so for me, my attitude was, I think I'll make it. I'm not sure. And then life hits. And all of us have life hit, just like Steph said, all of us have that. And I came one day and I looked at my finances and I realized that I needed more. I needed more for my family. I needed to show up more. 9 to 5 wasn't cutting it. I've been in the military 13 years. I do great things. I've done deployed. I've done all that. And I thought that was my identity, versus what reality was is actually I do more social networking than I do work now. It's pretty crazy. I'm thankful for COVID, honestly. But what I want to say is that I thought back when COVID hit that life was going to hit me harder. I thought my customers were going to fall off. And in April 2020, I decided that I was going to make sure I hit diamond again. And so I waited to the 25th. Do not wait to the 25th. I waited, and Joel's smiling because they always tell me, don't wait. I waited and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm 4,000 in volume off. What am I going to do? And so I reached out to Stephanie and I reached out to Laura, and they're like, host a post. And I thought, oh geez. All right, well, it's like what they said, you can't reinvent the wheel. The wheel's already there. It's up for you to jump on the model that's working for everyone. And if they're telling you this daily, they're not saying it because they want to repeat themselves. They're saying it because they trust the process and the process works for them. So I started doing that and it blew up. And then I ended up ringing Stephanie's back office and she was like, what the heck are you guys doing? And nonstop, I kept myself accountable and in a circle of fire with my team. And we just Zoomed. We Zoomed all day. Y'all, I didn't have this nice iMac computer. I think the first Zoom I was ever on, had a yellow screen. I was working from my husband's old computer. I didn't think none of that really mattered. But what ended up happening was I was able to invest in myself as I continued to work this business. And what I want to tell all of you is you've got to stop looking left and right. You got to stop looking at what Joel's doing, Stephanie's doing, whoever else that you see on your timeline, and you got to just go down deep. You got to dig deep, and you can't let that circumstance be your story. So I changed my mindset. COVID didn't stop me from making customers. There was all these excuses I kept putting up. And then I decided one day to jump over every hurdle. On the 25th, I decided to jump over every hurdle. Don't do it anymore. I actually work better. I've gotten a whole lot better with it, but I stayed near the fire the whole time. And so during that, I just worked. I didn't talk to nobody. I didn't watch TV. I literally would tell my husband, okay, I'm going to sit here until I get these 20 customers today. And he's like, okay, like he didn't know what I was doing. He just said, okay, I'm supporting you. And he said, well, if you ever go triple, I'll go to a conference with you. So that was my goal. And then we're not having a conference. But the point was, is I was trying to make it happen. And so I told my husband, he had just retired. We were waiting on certain things to come in. And guys, when you start to plant those seeds, we're planting sunflowers right now. I was telling Stephanie this. And every day we go look to see if something sprouted. And for 2 to 3 weeks, nothing. He even said, I think I overwatered that plant. How many of you feel like you're messaging too many people and you're not getting anywhere with it? Well, out of nowhere, every seed sprouted. And then now we're waiting on these sunflowers to grow. It's not going to happen just like that. It's something that has to happen very in God's timing. And so I'll put that to your business. Are you praying for your charts every day? Are you asking God to bring the right people in? I had to get into self-development and change my mindset to a total T just so I could fill other cups. And I had to not look left or right. And it was Mark Pentecost who talked about just a month of goodness, like pretty much no negativity, all straight positive affirmations. Your team has to do it. You got to teach it. Leaders, the pace of the leader is always the key. If you're not showing up, don't be mad that your team's not showing up. So you got to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, or if you're on Cali time, 5 o'clock in the morning, or if you're in Hawaii, it's 5 hours behind. I get it, but just go back to sleep afterwards. Show up. If you have an international or you have a team that's all over the place. I have a team that's starting in Guam. So guess what that means? I think they're like 12 hours ahead. I'll figure it out. But it's working those moments and just focusing in. And what really changed it is I started, when I couldn't get on a Zoom, I started Googling Zooms on YouTube. Ooh. All of your kids watch YouTube, I'm sure. Take the YouTube for yourself. Look up Amber Parker, and she talked about scheduling your life. And she talked about you're so important. I'm going to put you on my schedule. So I put every Zoom, Steph, on there and the ID so I know. So I'm not searching through it or messaging someone to say, hey, where is it? I have it. And so I have this calendar. It's for the new year. And I've already started writing in customers and following up. And when is my DT is going to be out of their 30 days? It was scheduling it that started to change it. And I started doing this, but I fell off because I got into a rut. And so changing my mindset. And guys, let me make it really clear. If you're looking for glory from everybody, you're in the wrong business. It's the deed, not the glory. And when you fill other people's cups, no one needs to know. Just do it because it's what needs to be done. God gave you this business and this platform so you can reach out to so many people. So do it. I hate going live. I hate all of it, but I do it because I have to, because God put something on my heart. I have to share it.
It's
and
a must.
I always go to Joel and I'll be like, what's new to read? Self-development is key. I mean, you guys can message them. So message them and say, what should I read next? Stay close to that fire. And Steph, I promise you, when I started seeing my paycheck this go round, and I messaged you and I said it, I looked at my paycheck and I owed something from the military and they started to garnish it out. And today I was able to pay off a bill because I worked so hard during summertime till fall that it's still replenished. And I'm going to tell them what I'm really going to do. I get to go because I was able to work my business and I stopped doing $300 paychecks and being satisfied with just whatever I got because I wasn't working and I started showing up. We just got accepted into IVF and I get to pay for my whole IVF procedure in cash because of it works. So you can do this if you really put your efforts into it. You really can. And it's huge. And here comes this wild child. So the floor is yours.
All right. Hey.
Say hi.
All right, you guys. So, she changed her stuff into a must. Like, what is the must in your life? And you are going to change your whole 2021 with just changing it to the must. And something that you guys are loving this. So thank you. It's causing me to have a little ADD, but I'm going to leave you like this. Create a vision for your life that 99% of the people would look at it and think that you're crazy. Look at that every day. Envision where you're going. It's not for everybody, but you need to know where you're going. I know that people still think that I'm crazy. They thought that I was crazy, and that's okay because eventually they're going to come along or they're just going to keep thinking that I'm crazy. Don't look left or right, like Lizzie said. Set your standards up, set your priorities, You know, if you want this to happen, you're going to look at your calendar. What a great thing that she just brought up her calendar. You guys get that out and scheduling. What is the priorities? Because I could pull out and ask you guys, pull your calendars out right now. What's in there? And that's going to tell me a whole lot of what your life's about. Is church in there every Sunday? That's part of what ours is. It's a non-negotiable. The great thing about church is you can take it wherever you want now. So it's always with us. You know, so there's a lot of things that are not excuses, but if there's doctor's appointments, there's things that you have to schedule out, and phone calls and follow-ups and conference and Zooms that are important. If it is important to you, you're going to take the time tonight to write those things down. And there's not a ton, you guys, out there that's going to fill your whole day. But if that's what you want, you're going to have greater results. You're going to get everything that you need as far as product knowledge, mindset, how to talk to people. You start building that confidence, that belief, right? That circle comes into play, and you're going to start having the success, and people are going to be like, what did you do? What did you do? You leveled up and prioritize. You set your standards high. And that's what I want for you guys to do tonight, is really set those standards high. If you want to talk to me if you're a distributor, and you're or a distributor, Ruby, whatever, first thing I'm going to do from now on is ask, are you on an auto ship? It's important to me. I want you to have success. If you're going to talk to a multi-millionaire, don't waste my time. I will give you everything that you need to be successful. And this year, and I'm sometimes too nice, that's the niceness of me, because I know what it's like to be broke. I know how bad that was. But you know what? I would have found a way to sit down with a multimillionaire that was willing to mentor me. I would have sold everything that I could have. $100. If it took $100 to meet with him, I would do it. I would do whatever it took. And that's what I want. When it's a must, you're going to do whatever it takes. So I want you guys to start showing up big, because you're worth it. If it's selling those samples to pay for your auto ship, it's going to be a must. It's going to be so important that you're selling and overselling those samples to pay for those auto ships. You're going to see that your team is going to follow suit. Your sales are going to go through the roof. You're going to go level up, like that song. We need that as our song. Level up. All we do is win. I don't know. That's all we're going to do in 2021. That's all I like to do. So that's what I expect for you guys for 2021 is greatness. So we aren't waiting December 29th, but I think right now we're going to all do that. I appreciate you, Liz, for coming and sharing a piece of your story, because this is for each of you. You get to make that decision tonight. If you need to put that video in as a replay and listen to it daily, do that. Do what you need to do. But we love you guys. We appreciate you. We will see you next week, Monday, on our normal time, because you guys know I'm committed. You know what? My standards are high. So I'm going to be showing up. Even if you don't, you're going to see my face, but we're always going to have that for you guys. So expect great things from you guys this week. We're going to close out a huge Monday, a huge week going into the holidays. Enjoy your family, hug people, love them, tell people, you know what? Things are going to be so fun in 2021. And I can't wait to tell you everything that happens. And I want you part of this. So, all right, guys, have an awesome Monday. Jump over to Pam's Monday night call. Otherwise, you can always watch that replay too. But again, I appreciate you guys. So thank you guys. Have a great night.
See you guys.